The Ryan and Ryan Power Hour podcast on SportsTownChicago.com. Welcome back to Ryan and Ryan here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
All right.
We just finished talking about the NBA playoffs,
right.
So we might as well get to the NHL playoffs because there are quite a few games yesterday that kind of may have turned some series around.
Yes, for sure, especially that Capitals and New York Islanders series. The Capitals won in overtime, I believe, right?
Yep, and I think that the Islanders were up 2-1 at one point in the series, and now it's 3-2 Capitals. There's been a few overtime games in that series.
They were up 2-1, and now they are down 3-2. I guess the only good thing is that they'll be home now, so that's exciting because I think they were a higher seed, right? The Islanders were a higher seed than the Capitals.
I don't think so.
Or maybe it's the other way around.
I think the Capitals have home ice because I remember going into the third game, someone on the Islanders said that they hoped that the home crowd would give them a spark.
All right, yeah. So maybe today, Ottawa at Montreal. Montreal looks to close that out.
Yeah, I think Montreal
in Game
will.
5.
Carey Price is just so good.
Right.
He can carry a team, and he will.
That is true. Pittsburgh at the New York Rangers. The Rangers look also to win a Game 5 at home. So 2 home games for teams that can close it out. So that's
Pittsburgh has not
good.
played well at all.
No, they haven't. I mean, they got the one win, when was that, Wednesday or Thursday? I think it was the...
I mean, granted, they played a lot of close games
Wednesday.
with New York. I think all the games were decided by 1 or 2 goals. So, I
Yeah.
mean, they were close games, but Pittsburgh's just not finishing.
Right, and then Minnesota and St. Louis, that series is probably going to go 6 or 7. They're tied at 2 right now, back home for Game 5 for the St. Louis Blues. Hopefully Minnesota can win 2 in a row. I mean, it'll be tough, but hopefully they can win a couple or maybe steal one in St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of Blues fans were tweeting saying they wanted the Blackhawks to lose, and I'm just thinking the only reason you want the Blackhawks to lose is because you know you can't beat them in the second round if you get past Minnesota.
Right, and plus for the Blackhawks' sake, I think it would be easier facing Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota's a good team, but it would be easier.
The only thing I'm worried about with Minnesota would be that this would be the 3rd year in a row they play the Hawks in the playoffs, and it might finally be Minnesota's time to win. I mean, I don't know. It's just like you can only play the same team so many years in a row in the playoffs before they finally win. Like it was like with the Red Sox and the Angels. The Red Sox always were beating the Angels in the first round every year, and then the Angels finally beat the Red Sox.
Yeah, they did. That was when was that? I'm trying to think.
I believe it was the 2009 postseason.
Yeah, 2009. I
remember the Angels swept them, and Papelbon had that explosion in Game 3 at Fenway Park.
Right. I remember that. I think you're right. I think that was 2009. So, talking about the Hawks game last night, it was a tough game. I wasn't, necessarily expecting them to close out and win at Nashville.
It was more we were hoping. The only thing I don't like about when the lower seed goes up 3-1 is when the higher seed dominates Game 5 at home. That's one thing I've noticed in the NHL. When the higher seed's down 3-1 and they dominate that home game the way the Predators did, usually they come back and win. They usually come back to force a Game 7, usually with the higher seed winning Game 7 at home. And I just got a bad feeling when Philip Forsberg got that 3rd goal for the hat trick. Hats are going on the ice. I was like, oh no, don't know. I hope that's not happening, because that what happened with the Hawks in Detroit 2 years ago. Detroit was up 3-1, and the Hawks manhandled them in Game 5 at home 4-1.
Yeah.
Crawford was unbelievable in that game. The only goal hit the wrong part of it, had a bad spot on his pad, and the puck bounced up and went in the goal.
Right.
I mean, it just hit a bad spot on his pad, and then the Hawks were able to come back. Last year, the Hawks almost came back against the Kings. There's been a few other series that have gone 3-1, and then the team dominates Game 5.
Yeah,
and then
I just think the Hawks are too good of a home team.
I'd love that they just close it out in Game 6, and it's just.
Right.
I wasn't really getting that feeling at all, even though that third period was bad. It was just when Forsberg got that empty netter to complete his hat trick, I was just like, that's going to give Nashville a ton of momentum. I just hope that they don't win Game 6 at home, because Nashville had, on the broadcast yesterday, they said Nashville had the best home record in the NHL this season.
Yeah, I heard that too. So
it'd be nice not to have to go to Game 7 at Nashville. And we don't even know who the starting goaltender is, because Quenneville said they're going to discuss who it'll be, because, Darling had a meltdown in that third period. And it wasn't all his fault, because Michael Roosevelt and Kimmo Timonen are both two dinosaurs when they're on the ice. So Quenneville's playing with four defensemen.
I like that analogy, yeah.
They are. Every time they're on the ice, someone skates around them and scores. It gets so annoying to watch them when neither of them are playing well at all, and the Hawks don't have anyone to replace them, because last year when Roosevelt just decided that he forgot how to skate and was going to play like a dinosaur, they just put Brookbank into the lineup and he'd play really well.
Right. Yeah, it's and
they don't have Brookbank this year. All they have is Rundblad, and I don't think Q trusts him in the defensive zone in the playoffs right now.
I just think, I think we both think, the Hawks really would have to have some bad things happen to them for them to lose this series.
Right. I really hope they give Crawford the start in Game 6. Give him a chance to redeem himself. It might have been a blessing in disguise that he got benched for Darling. He got plenty of rest, and I'm sure he was able to clear his mind, and I think he's going to be ready to make a long playoff run if he can get that start. And I know a lot of it wasn't Darling's fault, and a lot of it wasn't the goals that Crawford allowed weren't his fault. He made a couple misplays, so did Darling. That second goal, or the first goal in that third period, was one that should not have gone in, that wraparound. And then the first goal that Nashville scored, that one shouldn't have gone in because the Hawks won the face-off, and then Forsberg somehow skated around everyone and scored.
Right.
You don't ever see the defensive zone team winning a face-off, and then immediately after they win it, the other team scores.
Yeah.
There was a lot of bad plays, and there were a lot of bad plays when Crawford was playing. And I think now is the time to give Crawford his chance again.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to play Corey Crawford now, because then if he has a good game, then you're confident that he'll start Game 1 of the second round.
Right. Or if they lose Game 6, I'd say you put with Darling. If they lose with Darling in Game 6, I'd say you put Crawford in Game 7.
Yes.
Your season's you're going to put your season in the hands of your starting goaltender, and you're going to see if they lose, you lose with your best goalie.
Yeah, I like that idea too.
Because if Darling loses Game 6, he's not the hot goaltender anymore, unless it's like a 1-0 loss in overtime.
And I do think, if, for instance, if Crawford does start Game 6 and he does have a bad first period and he gives up 2 goals or something, then maybe it might be smart to put in Scott Darling at that point. But I just think it's smart to have Crawford start this game at home with the fans behind him and everything.
Right.
I think that could be really a beneficial thing for him.
I think Crawford is the guy going forward, going into next season. You had to keep playing Darling because he kept playing so well. Except, I really think it's Crawford's time. I'm not saying Darling should be benched because of one game.
No.
It's just you need it's Crawford's team. They wouldn't be where they were. They probably would have been a wild card team if it wasn't for the way Crawford played at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And really, as you said, if he has a good game, they're probably going to win.
Yeah.
And then they're just waiting for the winner of the Blues and the Wild. And realistically, that series might go 7 games. It
might go 7 games, which would also help the Hawks because they get some time off to prepare for that.
Right, and I think the Hawks will close it out in Game 6.
So do I.
I just hope Crawford's in net because against the Blues, Crawford always plays really well against the Blues. He did it in the playoffs last year. Every regular season game he played against them this year, he dominated. I just think he's if they play the Blues, he's the right guy. If they play the Wild, he's the right guy. I mean, the man won a Stanley Cup 2 years ago and played phenomenal in last year's postseason, other than the end of that Kings series when he was just tired along with every single other guy on the Blackhawks.
Yeah, I think tomorrow is going to be a winning day for the Hawks and Bulls. I think they both close out
do the
their
Hawks
series.
play tomorrow?
Yeah, Hawks play tomorrow night
wow.
at 7 o'clock on NBC. Bulls play at 4:30 on TNT. So
both teams can close out the series.
And it's really good because as the Bulls game ends, the Hawks game will be starting.
Right.
Seriously, like right after one another. So that'll be really good, too, because you don't have to flip back and forth.
Yeah, what time does the Hawks start? You said 7?
Yeah, Hawks are 7 o'clock. Bulls are at 4:30.
Yeah, that's actually pretty well timed out. I know it was unintentional. And
right.
Then the Bulls fans that go to that game at the Bradley Center will be able to listen, the first period or two on the radio.
Yeah, they will be able to. All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll come back after this short break. You're listening to Ryan and Ryan here on SportsTownChicago.com. The Ryan and Ryan Power Hour podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.